This is Tuesday, March the 16th. This is the beginning of World War I. Now, the late 19th century saw rivalries between the European countries. They were beginning to fight over imperialism. They were beginning to fight over their military. They were getting to fight over which economy was the strongest. Added to this, we have an industrial revolution, as long as a great advancement in science. Now, more and more Europeans were moving to the cities because that's where the factories were. The cities were the hearts of various industries. Now, as you get to these cities, they're going to hopefully be built with wide avenues and public transportation. Hopefully the sewer system, the public works works. But in many cases, the cities became breeding grounds for disease and crime. This is a picture of Louis Pasteur. Pasteur was a French chemist who believed in something called bacteria. Now, bacteria cannot be seen with the naked eye, but it can be seen with the microscope. And Pasteur is going to look at bacteria and try to determine ways to kill it. He found that heat was very effective, and that's why we heat milk or call it pasteurization. Robert Koch was a German physician who also worked with bacteria. Joseph Lister was an English physician who advocated the use of antiseptics so that bacteria cannot grow. European governments saw a population with more leisure time. The population has more money, expendable money. Many of the countries are going to provide health care for their workers. Now, it is not uncommon that every European country is going to have health insurance for its people. Public education was made compulsory for all of the citizens. The citizens were given basic education, reading and writing. But beyond elementary school, you had to do good in testing. Women, for the most part, were excluded from these plans. Now, because more and more people are going on beyond elementary school, we begin to see the rise of people who work exclusively with higher education. This is a picture of Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein is going to continue about the universe, its size, and why it runs the way it runs. This is a video about Albert Einstein. Sigmund Freud was an Austrian doctor. Now, Freud believed in the power of the mind, that the mind makes the body sometimes do unusual things. He talks about the unconscious mind, the part of the mind that goes even without thinking. Psychology begins with Sigmund Freud. This too is a video about Sigmund Freud's life. Along with technology and science came an appreciation of art. Painters are going to use light and color to show everyday life. Music is going to experiment with harmony and the time, that's the beat, and show to the listeners new ways to appreciate music. The late 19th century, unfortunately, will produce racism. Now, there are those who believe that Darwin's ideas of biological separation can also be used in social categories, that there were people who were better off than others because that's just the way they were. Now, there is an idea that was advocated by a German by the name of Hegel, who begins to take various races and says that Europeans are of a higher class, than, say, those who are from Africa or Asia. The same could be said about ethnic origin. The same could be said about religion. Now, in a word, this is rivalry. State-sponsored discrimination became more common. We're going to see in just about every country of Europe an episode of where the government is going to discriminate against a person because of race or ethnicity or religion. This also can be seen in the United States. Now, to understand World War I, you have to understand that the world had been fighting many years before World War I. In 1898, the last vestiges of the Spanish and the New World end with the United States going to war in the Spanish-American War. The United States is going to defeat Spanish in Cuba and Spanish in the Philippines. Now, from that, we obtain their land. From their lands, we create naval bases to act as protection for our ships that are going to go out and try to rule the high seas. Now, I think this would probably be a pretty good place for us to stop. Today, we had a mass, and that takes up a little bit of time. Tomorrow, we're going to look at Mexico.